everybody's curious about this topic, and I see mindfulness and emotional intelligence really going very, very well together. And so I'm excited to share it with you tonight. So again, we're talking about two superpowers we all need: mindfulness and emotional intelligence. And having these superpowers in our life will help you get pretty much anything that I think you set your mind to and that you focus on and you decide that you want to achieve in life. All right, so before I dive into the strategies, I want to define what mindfulness is, what emotional intelligence is, and then I'm going to share some strategies with you that are going to help you really increase your capacity to have both of these in your toolkit. All right, so mindfulness is really a way of being in the world. And, the actual definition is that, it's all about engaging our attention in the present moment, letting our mind and senses be full with what we're experiencing without judging it. So it is just being without responding, without judging what is going on in the very moment that we're present. Being mindless is the opposite of being mindful. And we know what that can feel like, right? So anytime that we feel distracted or chaotic, we can always bring ourselves back to the present moment. And I'm going to go into how to do some of that in just a few minutes. So when we observe and we listen and we choose how we want to respond and at the right time, we are being very present in our life. And the opposite of mindfulness is when we respond to life on autopilot, when we're just in a complete blur and we don't really even know where we are sometimes, right? And what it is that we're doing. Hi, Tina, I'm so glad you're here. So, so that's what I want to say about mindfulness, right? It's really being here in the moment of our life and not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but just being fully engaged with where you are in this very moment. That's when we're living our life. So now let's talk about what is emotional intelligence. Now, the definition is also called EI or EQ. I'll use EQ tonight just to be consistent, but it's the capacity to recognize our own feelings and the feelings of others, for motivating ourselves, and for managing our emotions effectively and sometimes influencing the emotions of others. And that's what EQ is all about. So the process of developing our EQ begins with being more aware of our own emotions, which is what mindfulness also does. So just going back to that, when we pay attention to the moments of our life, we become so much more aware of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're observing. And again, being mindful, trying not to judge those things, but just be there and not label them, not put them in a category, and just be present. And if this is something that you haven't been doing a lot of, just try it on. And it feels amazing. You just can release a lot of negativity. You don't have to go to a place of, well, that's bad or that's not as good. Just be and simply soak up the moments that you're living. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for joining. All right. So being more self-aware, which comes from being mindful, not only increases our self-awareness, but it also increases other parts of being emotionally intelligent. That's social awareness, and then being able to manage our emotions, or that's called self-management. And then those three areas of being self-aware, socially aware, and being able to manage our emotions help us then manage our relationships. And those are the four cornerstones of being emotionally intelligent. So we have to have the self-awareness first before we can actually up-level our emotional intelligence. And I see Val has joined us. Fantastic. So that's the definitions of mindfulness and emotional intelligence. So what can you do to supercharge your own ability to be more mindful and even more emotionally intelligent? So then you can focus on what it is you want in life, because you're more present, you've got control of your emotions, and then, okay, wow, what is it that I want to do? How can I use these really powerful skills to get what I want in life? Because I do think they have a really key role in that. So, maybe you want a new relationship. Maybe you want to make a big change in your life. Maybe you want to change jobs. Maybe you're want a new circle of friends who are more connected to you in the stage of life that you're going through. Maybe you want more clarity about your priorities in life. So everything we're talking about tonight is going to help you do those things. It's going to bring you closer and help give you more clarity about what it is that you want to achieve. So let's first start with, what are some strategies that are going to help you be more mindful and live in the moments of your life? And no surprise, but the very first one I want to share with you as a strategy is to have a daily meditation practice. There's just no way of getting around really up-leveling your ability to be mindful without having that meditation practice. Now, it might be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20 a day, whatever it is. But meditating every day gives you that mental space to be fully present. It's like starting your day with a blank canvas if you're meditating in the morning, which I know many of you do. So that is just foundational to your ability to be present and to be in touch with your feelings and what you're observing and what you're thinking, again, without judging it, right? It just feels amazing to start your day with this practice. It allows us just to be and slow down and to really tune in to what we're feeling and observing and thinking. Now, so that is going to help us also become more emotionally intelligent. I'll get to that in a moment. So meditating every day is the first strategy to be more mindful. The second strategy that I'd like you to consider to be more mindful is to consciously and intentionally breathe deeply, particularly when you're feeling stressed or you're feeling like, you're not present, like you're just not, you're kind of in a chaotic state. You can just take a couple of deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling, and that's going to reset your nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system, and bring some clarity to the chaos, right? And particularly when we're under stress and maybe our sympathetic, fight or flight system is activating, we can't think clearly, and we're feeling confused, and we're feeling like super stressed, that's when those breaths can really be like our best friend and help us get back to center. All right, brings us back. Then we can think more clearly, we can communicate more effectively, and make better choices. So I know it sounds simple, but it's very, very powerful. Breathing deeply anytime you feel mindless. All right, the third thing is decide that you're going to be present because you don't want to miss out on anything in life. You don't want to miss out on the moments of your life. And I think this sounds really simple, but if we don't focus on it, we get busy. And it's very easy to not be present, to not be mindful. So just declaring that you deserve to be able to remember the moments of your life. And if you think about times in your life that are just bright colors, like special times that you were so present, you were so engaged, that's why you can remember them. And who doesn't want even more great memories in their life? So just deciding you're not going to miss out on that, and that you're going to show up, and that you're going to be wherever you are, you're going to be present. You're not going to be thinking about being some other place when you're at a particular location, your office, your home, you're there, you're all in. And we don't want to be thinking about the past, that causes depression, and we don't be thinking about the future, that causes anxiety. We're going to be right where we are because that's where we're living the moments of our life. All right. You can always hit a reset button, taking a few breaths. If you feel like, I got to get centered, feeling kind of scattered. And some things that you can do, just, meditation can take a little more time, but we have these things called Peacefinder practices that in my own meditation training, we were taught. And there are things that you can do like in a minute or less that will just bring you right back to the present moment. And it might be as simple as deciding, I know I need to change my state. I'm going to take a walk outside. Or I'm going to just take a break. I've been, sitting at my desk for 4 hours. I haven't gotten up. Go outside, count to 10, repeat your favorite affirmation, have a cup of tea, call a friend, do something that changes your state and centers you so that you can come right back to being in the moment of your life. And the more you do this, the more you train your brain to automatically press that reset button and come back to being right in the moment of time. Okay, so you should just try this on. The next time you're feeling scattered, you feel like, I can't think, I've got so much on my mind, boom. You're going to be more productive If you take that break, if you change your state, then continuing to work another 2 hours and feeling like, you're all over the place. So being centered, can be a very powerful strategy for you to not only be more mindful, but to get more done. I know it might sound counterintuitive. So those are 3 things you can do to supercharge your ability to be more mindful and more present in the moments of your life. Now, mindfulness is a superpower not only for your own well-being, but for how you interact with people in your life. And if you want to make other people feel loved and respected and appreciated and valued, try placing all of your attention on them when they're in your company. It can change your relationship with people, particularly if that's a new experience they have with you. Maybe you're not on your phone anymore. It's a way, my meditation teacher wrote a book about this. She said, it's a way of showing the highest level of love is when we are just all in with the person that we're with. And particularly one-on-one, I think this is so powerful because nobody else is in the room you should be paying attention to but the person that's with you. But we all know what it's like to be with other people and we don't feel that important. We don't feel like we have their attention. And I've seen it over and over, going out with groups of people or even at a meeting where next thing you know, people are bringing out their phones. And that's not being mindful and being present with other people. And I've seen it damage relationships because it sends a message that, it's just not that important that we are connecting. It's more important that I'm on my phone maybe than having that conversation with you. And I don't think it's what people intend, but it's how it's interpreted a lot of times. And that's what really matters. So we want to be very intentional about how we show up with people. So our mindfulness superpower can really help strengthen our relationships with other people. So I want to make that a call to action. The next time you're with other people and you're feeling distracted, put your phone away, try to be fully present and see if it changes the dynamics of your interactions with other people. And you might even ask somebody if they pull out their phone, hey, we have FaceTime here. Maybe can you put that away and we can really focus on just being together. And again, create some good memories together. All right, let's move on and talk about 2 things that you can do to supercharge your emotional intelligence, all right? Because we've got this whole part of this self-awareness, which is the foundation of being emotionally intelligent. And one of the things that will help you tremendously, it certainly helped me, is being aware of what your emotional triggers are. Now, we all have emotional triggers. We all have them. And they come from our own life experiences, our comfort zone, how we've been raised, just the general lens that we have on the world, right? That it causes us to respond to things differently. You can be in a room with several people and somebody says something and you might have a very strong negative reaction and somebody else might not even notice that was anything to pay attention to. That's the trigger. And so what you want to do is understand that that's just an automatic, usually negative response that you're having for some reason. And very often it can have nothing to do with the person who made the comment. But the way that you disempower these things so that you can be in control of your emotions is that you decide to let go of that story. You decide to investigate this a little further. Why am I being triggered? Why am I even thinking about what was just said? What is behind that thought or that expression that was made? Sometimes we have to let go of stories that no longer serve us. And a trigger can be something that happened to us in the 4th grade. And some of you have heard me say, I had a trigger with a teacher in the 4th grade. I laugh about it now, but for a long time, it really did have a negative impact on me when I was made fun of in a schoolroom class by a teacher. And then all the kids laughed. And so things would happen that were similar to that, and then it would affect me. So I know from firsthand experience, these things are real. So that's just one example, but I share that so that, I want you to think about what triggers you. And then once you know what it is, then you can disempower them and understand, what, that's just silly for me to get upset about that. It's got nothing to do with what's happening and I can let that go, right? And if it is something that you need to address, then you'll know that that is something serious, that the trigger comes from some unresolved issues, maybe with that person, and that you can address that with them. All right, so once we are aware of our emotions, then we need to manage them, right? It's one thing to have that awareness, but we don't want to go flying off, saying whatever we feel without having any filters around that. So to increase our emotional intelligence, we want to manage the emotions that we're now feeling. All right, so we're aware, and then second step is we got to decide to manage them. Say in that same situation that I said, I was aware that I was triggered by something, and it was very emotional, and I knew that it didn't make any sense, right? So I had to pull the curtain back on that and say, what is it about that trigger, so that it wouldn't have any power over me or cause me any more negative unnecessary negative responses. Does this make sense to you guys? I hope it is. So the more emotionally intelligent thing to do is to just pause and not react emotionally. And meditation will help build that emotional cushion for you. So we don't want to go through life having wild emotional responses that seem erratic. They can damage our relationships. So we really do want to be very aware of what we're feeling, but also appropriately manage our emotions, particularly the negative ones. So just paying attention to what we're feeling is the first thing. And remember PAT, P-A-T, that stands for pause and think. So just remember PAT whenever you're feeling triggered by something. Pause and think. Why am I responding like this? And it's probably something outside of work that caused that trigger to even, take place. Perhaps has nothing to do with the person that made the comment. And so becoming aware of our triggers is the first step, and then you can prepare for how you want to respond to them. And I think it's a great idea to even make a list of things that you've noticed that you overreact to, and that would be a natural response to a trigger. And you say, why am I feeling this way? Just step back, remember PAT, pause and think before you say anything. Now, if you have to address something with someone, then you find a way to do that. But I would take some deep breaths. I would clear my mind, become fully present with what's going on, and come from a place of inquiry with something that may be a challenging conversation to have in this situation, versus blaming or shaming, because a lot of times we don't have all the facts in a situation, right? And so you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, by calming your nervous system down, by taking some breaths, you're going to minimize activating your sympathetic nervous system, that primitive part of your brain, the fight or flight, and you're not going to let those toxic, feelings show up. You're just going to decide, I'm not letting that toxic energy into my body. It's just not worth it, right? So bottom line, you want to create some space between your emotions and your words. Just remember PAT, pause, and think. Try this. The next time you're with somebody and something happens, I really want you to just remember PAT, pause and think. And the more you do this, the more you train your brain not to be on automatic pilot too. It's a very freeing exercise, and it just makes you feel much more in control of your own emotions, and you're increasing your emotional intelligence by not being on autopilot, as I said earlier. All of these strategies not only increase your ability to be mindful and emotionally intelligent, but it's going to help you focus then on what you really want in life. So, it's pretty much given that you have a high IQ if you're in the workplace or, functioning adult. But what really separates average people from the rock stars and talking about getting what you want is the ability to have not only the high IQ, but the high EQ, the high emotional intelligence. Those are people who, and some of you probably are like this, you're calm in chaos, you're very mindful, and you're very present with people. You're getting the promotions, you know how to handle conflicts, you know how to lead and inspire people. Those are all characteristics and competencies of people who really demonstrate high emotional intelligence. And their behaviors get noticed by other people, so they get more opportunities a lot of times because they show up that way. They don't get stressed out about little things. They don't let triggers run their life, So think about this for yourself, how do you want to show up? What kind of person do you want to be? Who are you becoming? Just because, we've let emotions maybe run us doesn't mean they have to run us tomorrow. We can always choose how we want to respond, when we want to respond, and how we want to show up in the company of other people. Do we want to be known as the person who's just always says whatever they think, and that's just, they expect people to accept that, and they have no emotional control? Or do we want to be the person who's known to be thoughtful and very intentional with their actions and their words? You know, it's up for us to decide. But people that demonstrate the high emotional intelligence, they get invited to the right meetings. They get placed in positions for new opportunities. They get recommended for promotions because people like working with them. And socially, people like hanging around with them. So there's a lot of advantages to working on having a higher emotional intelligence. It is a real superpower. So just to wrap up on this, these 5 strategies that I just shared with you, and I'll recap in just a moment, will really help you supercharge these very essential skills of mindfulness and emotional intelligence. And it'll help you take better care of yourself. And it's also going to help you show up to be the person that you want to be, how you want to be understood by others, and how you want to relate to other people, and how you want people to relate to you. So you can take great care of yourself and be very intentional about being present and fully engaged and live in the moments of your life, creating beautiful memories versus having a week where you don't even know what happened because you were so busy and so not present. So it's a choice that we all get to make. But to live in the moments of our life and to alleviate stress, to communicate more effectively, to pay attention to our relationships that are so important to us, and anything else that is important to you, just brings you closer to getting what you want out of life. So let me just do a quick recap on those 5 strategies. They're very simple, but sometimes we just need a little reminder. And I hope something that I've shared with you tonight might just help remind you of something that maybe you were already doing, but you got away from, or maybe something new that you can try on. So to increase your mindfulness, meditate every day, breathe deeply anytime you feel stressed, decide to be present in your life. You don't want to miss out on any of the moments of your life. To be aware of your emotional triggers to increase your emotional intelligence. And then once you're aware of those emotions, just decide to manage your emotions. And if that's a new practice for you, trust me that the more you try it, the easier that's going to be. And it's very empowering to feel like, and you always are, but to really know you're in control of your emotions. Nobody causes you to feel anything. You choose how you want to feel. No one can make you angry. You can choose to be angry. It's just one example. No one can really make you happy. You can choose to be happy. So this is all very powerful tools that we have. And I hope what I've shared with you tonight just gives you some new perspectives or new insights, again, about 2 really essential skills that I hope everybody had. And the beautiful thing is everybody can develop this. So you don't have to be, you're not born being mindful. You're not born being emotionally intelligent. We learn these skills in life. And sometimes we take classes. Sometimes we have a great mentor that we learn it from. It just depends on our own experience in life. Speaking of that, I've mentioned here the last couple of weeks that several of you asked me about running a meditation class. In the month of March, I'm going to run one. If we get enough people, we have 2 people, we need at least 2 more to do Thursday nights in March to March 4th to get your meditation mojo is what I'm calling it. And if you're interested in talking to me about it, just send me a private message or I'll put the link here. But it's just going to be 4 Thursday nights in March for like an hour at 7:30 at night. I did it last August and it was a lot of fun. And everybody in that group is still meditating. So we're going to keep that 100% client success rate on meditation. So I just wanted to mention that. I've posted here a few times about it, but next week we're going to have to decide if we're going to have enough people to do it. So if you're interested, just send me a message here, or I'll put a link that you can actually schedule a quick call with me and I'll give you all the details. All right, guys, that's it for me tonight. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you'll consider building those superpowers, becoming more mindful, becoming even more emotionally intelligent so that you get everything you want in life. Thanks so much to everybody who showed up live tonight. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking time to participate. Take care.